Weapons. Let's discuss weapons. We've been working on the weapon system. So, for now, weapons have got to exclusively belong to a gunner. We have the truck here. We have the turret. The turret here basically is the gunner. As we can see, the gunner has got a photon view. It's got a photon turret view, which synchronises its rotation and all that. It's got an animator attached, and it's got various other gunner scripts. Turret controller basically controls the look and behaviour of the turret. Player gunner controller is what you, as a player, are going to be interacting with. So this is turned on if you are the gunner of this vehicle, and this is what you, as a player, will control. It looks after how the turret behaves when you move the mouse and you look at a certain look point. You basically get a camera which looks at the transform and looks at a certain transform which you're looking at, called the look point. Turret goes and tracks that, so it's basically you've got a slight bit of lag between when you turn and the turret traversal. And basically what that means is, as you're firing and you look, if the turret is catching up, you're kind of actually spraying an arc of fire, which is a cool effect, and I think can prove to be a nice gameplay thing. That's something Jed has been working on, exclusively to the turret, that is. So yeah, player gunner controller. When you shoot, there is a function on that which basically goes, or input manager. When you get fire 1 or reload and all that, it goes through the gunner weapon manager, which is there. The gunner weapon manager basically takes input either from a player, or we haven't invented it yet, or an AI, and it goes, yeah, what's the current, what are the weapon scripts that are currently active? And we define them here. We've actually only got one, but we can add as many weapon groups as we want by basically going, get another weapon group, and basically these are the weapons that you'll switch between, and if you add multiple weapons to a weapon group, they will all fire and behave at the same time. So it basically means that what if you wanted to go, fire all weapons, just put them in the same weapon group and they're all tied to one button. Do we need that? I don't know. I just tried to make this weapon system to give as much freedom to the rest of the developers as possible. So there is like an absolute boatload of options and optional extras and doodads that you can play with. But yeah, they are a list of active mono-behaviour weapons of type weapon. Let's have a look at weapons. This truck has got 2 weapons attached to them, but right now it's only got the hit scan enabled, because this is the testing truck hit scan. I've currently implemented 2 weapon types. We've got projectile weapons and hit scan weapons. The way that the fire mechanism works is you click, you fire, and then through the player gunner controller it goes whoop. I'm going to find through raycast the nearest object that isn't me that I have hit, and I am going to return a vector 3 hit point in the world coordinates, and I'm simply going to give that to the fire method on the polymorphic weapon script, which is just called fire, and takes a vector 3. From there, all of our different weapon types are all children of the weapon class, and they've all got their own inherited child methods for fire, which handle everything, but you only actually need to interface with weapon with 2 things: fire and reload. The rest is all implemented in each weapon class. So yeah, that fires, that works. Have a look inside that script. But I'm going to show you the inspector view of the first weapon I made, which is the projectile weapon. And yeah, each weapon has got to have an animator. Yes. Has it got to have an animator? Maybe is the answer to that. I actually think the answer to that is no. I've just got animators on it and we don't need them. No, you don't need them at all. We can get rid of those. Sorry about that. Yes, because the animator, we're animating the turret. Like, I had that originally when the weapon was mounted on the turret, and now weapon scripts are separate and interface with the turret. So let's run through this. We've got our box standard projectile weapon here. We'll give it a weapon name. This is for now what appears in the HUD when you select it. We have got the barrel transform. This is the transform at which the projectile or the bullet comes out, and we have a separate one called barrel end muzzle transform. This is where you want to instantiate your muzzle prefab effects. It doesn't matter if they're exactly the same. It's literally just like where you're instantiating the effects. You know, there's nothing wrong with having your effects slightly further back or what. It doesn't matter. Right. I'm going to keep going. We've then got the sections for damage, fall off, and aiming. You are able to put in projectile deviation in degrees. You know, you fire it. How many degrees is your projectile actually going to be offset? That is calculated after the initial raycast. So all of this is calculated fully within the weapon script. So you don't actually need to bother having multiple versions of this from your original raycaster to get your hit point. The way it does this, so you fire forward obviously through your interface script, and the weapon gets a vector 3. And it says, oi, fire at that. Now we want to calculate some deviation, so what do? We get the vector between the end of our barrel and the position at which we have been ordered to fire. We can then get the magnitude of this vector. Then simply by using a cheeky little function and the trigonometric rules, if we imagine that we are firing like a right angle triangle, so obviously we fire straight forward, we want some deviation, which is going to be like that. That is basically going to be our opposite side. We know the adjacent because that is what we've gone forward. We know the opposite because that's how much we want to move there. We know one angle, which is in there, because that's our projectile deviation. Ooh, Sokotoa. Yeah, we got ourselves a right angle triangle. And simply what we do there is we calculate what the opposite side is going to be. Then, for getting the randomness all added in, we then, at the end of our original line, that is our opposite side, it is our directly straightforward line from the barrel transform position to the originally ordered oi fire at this hit point. We then generate a sphere. In fact, if I show you the code, this will be a little bit easier. There it is. We then generate a sphere called deviation 3D. Generates a unit inside the random sphere multiplied by the sign of our opposite. And then we just go, yeah, the new deviation is the old target point plus this random noise. Works in 3 dimensions. It's good. Because basically you feed at a point, but the point itself is really just used to reference and create a direction. Like, or fire at this point and see what happens. So, yeah. After that we have the damage multiplier ramp up or fall off curve. The difference between ramp up and fall off is literally this is ramp up. If you were to do fall off, you would do herp. I need to talk with the team on what they would prefer as convention, but literally what I've done is I've hijacked the animation curve system, and between the points 0 and 1, between these two constant values here, you can evaluate our function to give you a multiplier based on distance. It's a one-dimensional function, based on distance between that cutoff and that cutoff. These two, at how much your gun is going to deal extra damage on based on distance. Do we want this? Who knows? I think we should have this for some damage fall off from hit scan weapons. I think this would be a good thing. Maybe you want to have a weapon that increases in damage the longer you fire it. I don't know. I put in the capability to do this because I'm a programmer on this, not necessarily a designer, but sometimes I think I overstep the mark. We'll whack it back there for now. Salvo size. Salvos are basically clips. I call them salvos because they're big guns, not piddly little guns, so I thought salvo sounded cooler. Reload type. Recharge. Your gun passively reloads its ammunition as it fires. You don't need to manually reload. By clip, you press R. The gun plays a reloading animation. It's out of action for a specified amount of time, and then you've loaded your entire clip again. No reload is no reload. These are all inheritable by all kind of weapon types. This just belongs to the main weapon class. Reload time. How long it takes to reload your gun when you mash R, or if you have a recharging gun, how long it takes to reload a single shell, just in the background. And that will be like, okay, because this gun's recharged, it takes 1 second to load 1 bullet. And fire rate is how busy you fire it. Ammunition, pretty simple. Ammo per shot, unlimited ammo, tick that. For unlimited ammo in your reserve ammo doesn't affect the clips. And reserve ammo, if your weapon is not using unlimited ammo, draw from this pool. You can't fire if you don't have any more reserve ammo. Damage, base damage is 10. This is the base damage that will be basically knocked about by some multipliers. Damage type, for now this does nothing, but it could be interesting to have some death animations and extra bits. This data is all sent to the other person's receive damage function. And when you shoot someone, they call OI receive damage, and then you call them a procedure call with the serialized JSON, and this is bundled in with it. And basically, it says what type of gun hit you. So it's like, yeah, this is a cannon, it's a kinetic weapon, or we might implement, say, an ion beam, or we might implement a flamethrower, or it might ram into somebody, or it might be a rocket. And, you know, if you want to have different death animation based on what hit you, that's what you base it on, based on your last hit. And damage multiplier, this is just a flat, like, just multiply all damage by this number. It's there. Will we use it? Probably not. But you might want to set it by some things just to flatly increase your damage. Like, say, if you pick up a quad damage, you multiply that by 4. Works. Weapon animator. So, whenever you fire your gun, it calls a trigger. So every weapon has a reference to the thing it's actually animating. In this case, obviously, it's animating the turret. So, basically, within the remote procedure call to fire the turret, to fire the weapon, it goes, oi, find the animator, which we have defined there, give it a trigger. Now, triggers are here. In fact, this is slightly there. Well, it looks like. I go here. What animator is this turret using? Interestingly, you should have a reload animation, but you do not. Maybe my computer crashed. Oh yeah, my computer crashed. I forgot about that. Okay, well, I just need to add that again. Normally we've got a fire trigger and a reload trigger. It fires and reloads. You set it in code. You go animator.setTrigger fire. It does that. Fire a state machine. It goes whoop. Yes, fire the weapon by basically going there by having conditions fire. Plays the animation in this one. Goes back because this is just via exit time, and then goes back to default state here. If we look inside the code for projectile weapon, we go fire, yes, fire all of this, and then if we just search animate, well, there we go. Inside the RPC, which we call when we fire the gun on everybody's computer, weapon animator.setTrigger fire primary trigger animation name. And it is literally defined just here. Fire, match it up, it works. If you write the wrong thing, nothing bad will happen, you just won't play the animation. Just need to re-add the reload thing, but that's piss easy. The exact same thing will happen with reload. You press R, it reloads again and plays the animation on everyone's computer. Network, you just need to set these things. Weapon phone on view, gunner phone on view. You know, it's the weapons view and the gunner's view. Source camera, which was used for testing, I need to remove that. But it does all projectile deviation calculations based on this if we are not in the dead zone. If we are in the dead zone on the turret, that is to say that the turret is currently not traversing and is looking at where you're looking at, then you do deviation calculations based on, if you are in the dead zone, then you do the turret deviation calculations based on the source cam. This just shouldn't be public right now. It is assigned, it works. Weapon fire sound. This is the sound that the weapon plays when it fires. So it's that, and it goes along with muzzle flash volume. It weirdly does. It just does. So we're actually assigning the audio here. I really should just put those there, but details for now. So yeah, fire weapon sound goes with muzzle flash volume, impact particle sound, and impact particle miss. Impact particle sound is if you shoot somebody and if you shoot somebody and you hit, play this one. If you shoot something and it's not a player, play a different one. The reason I want to do this is to kind of give an implicit sense of satisfaction when you actually hit somebody, so get a nice satisfying breaky noise and like a ricochet sound when it comes to that one. And then muzzle audio prefab is muzzle audio prefab is basically the default settings here saved in a prefab for what we want our spatial blend and Doppler panning of our effects to be. So it copies the audio profile from this. Can you just see? There it is. You might not be able to see. On OBS, I don't know, things move around. But it's in the prefabs. It exists. Going through more. Oop. Come on. Yep, we got these. Then you can affect the volume of the hit particles, muzzle flash, all that. And then we've got the projectile that we fire. This is projectile prefab. How fast it goes in meters per second, and a checkbox for inheriting velocity from vehicle. This is just something we need to gameplay test. But it implements that, and everything's nice and lag compensated. And then we've got a similar thing for a hit scan weapon. They behave differently, but everything looks here very similar, basically, up until we get to the hit scan settings. And these are the interesting bits here. So everything kind of works. Oh, we get to effect settings. So first of all, fire dummy projectile. What that does is it will fire a really fast projectile that doesn't actually do anything. It's purely graphical whenever you shoot your gun. And it just makes it look like you've shot a bullet. It's just like a really quick pew. And do you want to do that? If so, here's the prefab. There it is down there. It's like pew. Right now, I'm literally just using the same one from the cannon. It's just going to go a lot faster. More of them. So, actually, we've got impact particles, all that jazz. And then we have interesting ones called... Oh yeah, we've got muzzle flash child of barrel. Do we want the muzzle flash to keep lining up? Hit scan settings. So, these are interesting. And I'll just do them in the next episode because I think they deserve their own little episode because I've rambled on a bit too much.